I didn't sign up for this. That's what the text said. Just 5 words, sitting beneath a screenshot of our empty joint account. My name's Logan. I'm 32, head mechanic at Wilson's Auto in Spokane. For hours before that message, I was sitting in a sterile doctor's office hearing words like lymphoma, treatment options, and survival rates. Stage 2. Treatable. Manageable. But it was going to be a long, hard road. I called Vanessa from the parking lot. Told her I needed to talk. Asked her to meet me at home. She said she was busy, had errands. Promised she'd be back later. When I walked through the door, half the closet was empty. Her suitcase, gone. The wedding photo from our nightstand, gone too. Then came the text. Then the screenshot. She'd transferred every last cent of our joint savings. $38,000. 5 years of sacrifices, extra shifts, skipped vacations. All gone. Moved into an account with only her name on it. I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I typed back 2 words. Take care. Put the phone down. Opened a beer. Sat on the back deck and watched the sun melt behind the trees. I didn't cry. Didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. Just sat there, letting the weight of it all settle on my chest. The cancer I could face. The betrayal? That was something else entirely. Tim, my neighbor, saw me sitting there and came to the fence. Everything all right? Saw Vanessa peel out earlier. Car packed. Got some health news, I said quietly. She didn't take it well. He didn't press. Just nodded. Well, Lisa makes a mean casserole. Let me know if you need anything. I appreciate it, I told him. When he left, I went inside and pulled out the folder my Uncle Brian had given me last month. He'd retired from estate planning last year, but still kept a hand in for family. When my grandfather passed in February and left me a small piece of land up north, Brian helped me sort out the paperwork. Everyone needs their affairs in order, he'd said. Especially when you're married. Protect each other. So I'd started the process. Updated my will. Listed Vanessa as co-owner on the '69 Mustang I'd restored, though I hadn't filed the paperwork yet. I even opened a secondary account at a different bank for the proceeds from the land sale. All of it, to protect us. To protect her. Funny how things work out. I picked up the phone and called Brian. He answered on the second ring. Logan, remember that conversation we had about estate planning? I do. Everything okay? No, I said. But it will be. I met Vanessa at my buddy Drew's wedding in 2016. She was a paralegal, sharp, witty, beautiful. We moved in together 6 months later. Married the next year. The first few years were solid. We were a team. Saved every penny. Found a fixer-upper in a quiet neighborhood. I worked weekends refinishing floors, replacing cabinets, crawling under sinks. She picked paint swatches and furniture. Posted before and after photos online. Called us a renovation success story. My mom raised me and my sister on a teacher's salary after my dad passed. She taught us to work hard, live simply, always have a backup plan. Vanessa came from a different world. Her parents paid her college tuition. Bought her a new car every few years. Put the down payment on our house. Her father, a corporate attorney, never called me by name. Just Vanessa's husband. Looking back, I can see the cracks started long before my diagnosis. 3 months ago, Vanessa started talking about moving to Seattle. Said there were more opportunities. I pushed back. My job was steady. We had friends here, and the house was nearly paid off. She grew distant after that. Quiet. Spent more time with friends I'd never met. Then came the little comments. The ones that sting deeper than they should. Don't you want to do something more than fix cars? My college roommate's husband just made partner. They're building a vacation home. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd moved to Chicago after graduation. I told myself every marriage has rough patches. That we'd weather this one too. When I found a business card for an apartment complex in Seattle tucked into her purse, I didn't confront her. I just called my Uncle Brian. Started updating documents. Quietly documented our assets. Just in case. 2 weeks later, I went to the doctor for what I thought was a lingering cold. The swollen lymph nodes told a different story. Blood work. A biopsy. And then, the diagnosis. The night before I got the official results, we had dinner at home. She talked about a coworker's promotion. I watched her face, searching for any sign she noticed the fear behind my eyes. You okay? She asked eventually. Yeah, I lied. Just tired. She nodded. Kept eating. Didn't ask more. Didn't really look at me. That should have told me everything I needed to know. 3 days after she left, I started chemo. The first session hit me harder than expected. The nurse helped me to a recliner, hooked up the 4, asked if my ride was in the waiting room. Took an Uber, I said. My wife's out of town. She gave me a look I couldn't quite read. Pity, maybe. Or something sadder. And so, I began the long road alone. But here's the thing. Cancer didn't break me. It clarified things. It taught me who I am when everything is stripped away, when love walks out, when comfort disappears, when your body feels like a stranger. It taught me that pain doesn't always come with warning signs. And sometimes, the people who promise to stand by you walk away the moment things get hard. But I'm still here. And I'm not done yet. The nurse patted my arm gently. First one's the hardest, she said. You'll get through this. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. No one but Tim next door knew Vanessa was gone for good. Everyone else still thought she was out of town. Somehow, saying the truth out loud made it heavier. More real. More shameful. When I got home from that first chemo session, there was a casserole waiting on the porch with a note in Lisa's handwriting. Made too much. Enjoy. I knew it was a kind lie, but I appreciated it anyway. I tried to eat. Couldn't keep anything down. Ended up on the bathroom floor, shaking and sweating. Alone. That night, I called my sister Ellie in Portland. Told her everything. The cancer. Vanessa. The money. She wanted to drive up immediately, but I asked her to wait. Told her I needed to sort some things out first. The next morning, I called the bank. The truth hit harder than any test result. Vanessa had emptied our accounts 40 minutes after I called her from the doctor's office. Before she even knew the details. Just knew I was sick. And that was enough for her to run. Something inside me shifted then. The sadness hardened into something else. Not quite anger. Something deeper. Something sharper. Purpose. That afternoon, I drove to Uncle Brian's house. Brought every document I had. Bank statements, property records, insurance files. She can't just take your money like that, he said, scanning the printouts. It was a joint account, I reminded him quietly. Her name's on it too. Brian removed his reading glasses and leaned forward. Logan, what she did wasn't just cold. It might have been illegal, taking all your savings, knowing you're facing medical bills. Can I prove she knew? He paused. You called her from the doctor's office, right? I nodded. We can check the phone records. And the timestamp on the bank transfer. If they line up, it could help. Especially with that text. I showed him. I didn't sign up for this. Brian's jaw clenched. That's damning. Very. We spent 3 hours building a strategy. The Mustang title change. The land sale. My insurance paperwork. Everything we could document, we did. When I left Brian's house, my phone buzzed. It was an email from Vanessa's cousin, Megan. Logan, I heard what happened. I'm so sorry. I don't know what Vanessa is thinking. Just wanted you to know I'm here if you need anything. I stared at the screen a long time. Then typed. Does Vanessa know about my diagnosis? Her reply came fast. Yes. She told everyone. Said you had cancer, but she couldn't handle it and needed a fresh start. My whole family's shocked. This isn't right. I thanked her and slid my phone into the cup holder. Drove home with the windows down, the wind in my face. For the first time in weeks, I felt clear. I knew what I had to do. 2 weeks into treatment, a letter arrived from Vanessa's lawyer. She wanted a divorce. Cited irreconcilable differences. Requested to be removed from the mortgage, but still wanted half the equity in the house. No mention of the $38,000 she had already taken. No acknowledgement of my illness. I took the letter straight to Brian. Pretty bold, he said, scanning the pages. Takes your life savings, disappears when you're sick, and then wants half your house. What do I do? Brian tapped the letter. Don't respond yet. Let's see how far she wants to push this. The next day, I got a text from an unfamiliar number. Logan, it's Vanessa. This is my new number. I know you're upset, but we need to figure this out. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half the house. I didn't respond. 3 days later, another one. Logan, being childish won't help. I know you're going through stuff, but I have rights too. Going through stuff. As if cancer was just a bad week. I blocked the number. My third chemo session hit like a freight train. 2 days without food. Lost 12 pounds. Ellie finally came up from Portland. Stayed a week. Cleaned the house. Stocked the freezer. Drove me to appointments. She was the first person to make the house feel like home again. The day before she left, we got another letter from Vanessa's lawyer. More demands. More threats. More cold words about what I owed her. Ellie was furious. She's lucky you haven't taken her to court for the money she stole. We'll get there, I said. The following week, I received a certified letter from the bank. Vanessa had tried to remove my name from our joint credit cards, but couldn't without my signature. She'd also tried to access our safe deposit box, the one that held the Mustangs and signed title, the house deed, my grandfather's will. The bank denied her. She didn't have the second key, my key. I called Brian immediately. She's getting desperate, he said. She left loose ends. What's next? Close the box. Open a new one in your name only. And file the Mustang title change today. That morning, I took a sick day. Though honestly, every day was a sick day now. I went to the bank, closed the old box, opened a new one, then drove to the DMV and filed the title change, removing her name from the Mustang she never touched. That night, I got another text from another new number. You changed the Mustang title? That car's half mine. You put my name on it. I stared at the screen. How did she know already? Then it clicked. She must have someone watching me. Someone inside the bank or DMV. Someone was feeding her information. The way she knew about the Mustang title change the same day I filed it, it didn't make sense. The DMV? The bank? Someone was watching my moves. I called Brian. I think she has help. Someone's telling her what I'm doing. He was quiet for a moment. Then, her father has connections. Wouldn't put it past him. So what do? Feed them the wrong information, Brian said. Let's set a trap. The next morning, I called the realtor handling my grandfather's land sale. Asked her to pause the listing. I made sure to mention on the call that I was exploring other options for liquidating assets. Then I phoned my old investment bank, just a small 401k from a job years ago. I asked questions about early withdrawals, made sure they noted I was considering pulling the funds due to medical bills. Then I waited. 2 days later, a letter arrived from Vanessa's lawyer. A fresh list of demands. She wanted a portion of any proceeds from inherited property and a fair division of all retirement accounts. Brian chuckled when he read it. She took the bait. Now what? Now we show our cards. The next month was hard. The treatments were brutal. My hair was gone, and I'd lost 30 pounds. But the doctors were cautiously optimistic. My numbers were improving. Ellie came up every other weekend. Tim and Lisa next door checked on me daily. My boss reduced my hours, but kept my health insurance active. I was surviving. Not just the cancer, but the betrayal, the emptiness, the ache of reaching out in the dark for someone who wasn't there anymore. I stayed focused on recovery and on the next move in the chess game Vanessa had started. Then Brian called one Tuesday morning. We got the documents from her bank, he said. Want to guess what she did with your money? Tell me. She transferred it to a new account, then wrote a $30,000 check to her parents. I sat down slowly. Why would she do that? My guess. Brian said, she's trying to hide the money, make it harder to trace or recover. Can she do that? No, Brian said flatly. That's the beauty of it. She transferred joint funds during a known medical crisis, then tried to launder it through a third party. Any judge will see it for what it is. I hesitated. I don't want a long court battle, Brian. I don't have the strength for that. You won't need it, he said. Once her lawyer sees what we have, they'll settle. 2 days later, I was leaving the hospital after another round of chemo when I saw it. A silver BMW, parked near the entrance. Windows tinted. Engine idling. Vanessa's father. He was watching the doors. Watching for me. I walked straight to the car and knocked on the window. He rolled it down, his face carved into that cold, polished lawyer mask I knew all too well. Logan, he said, with a measured look. You look unwell. Cancer will do that to a person. Why are you here? He sighed through his nose. Vanessa is concerned. She says you're being unreasonable about the divorce proceedings. I almost laughed. Unreasonable, I repeated. Is that what she's calling it? She's prepared to be generous, given your situation. A fair division of assets, including the house. After she took every cent from our account the day I was diagnosed? After she walked out and left me to face chemo alone? He looked down for a moment. She was upset. Emotional. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, I said. It was a decision. His eyes narrowed just slightly. Logan, be practical. You're sick. You need to focus on recovery, not a legal fight you can't afford. That's when it hit me. They thought I was desperate. Thought I was out of options. Thought I'd fold. They didn't know about the land sale. Didn't know I'd removed Vanessa's name from the Mustang title. Didn't know I'd documented everything. I'll have my response to her lawyer by Friday, I said, turning to leave. "Logan," he called after me. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I didn't look back. Thursday, I sat down with Brian and the real estate lawyer he'd brought in, Catherine Chun. We reviewed everything. The time-stamped bank records showing Vanessa's withdrawal just 40 minutes after I told her about the diagnosis. Her text, "I didn't sign up for this." Megan's statement confirming Vanessa knew about the cancer before she left. The check she wrote to her parents. Catherine looked over the file with practiced eyes, then said, "This is clear-cut financial abandonment. Plus, the attempt to conceal marital assets? No judge will look kindly on this. So what's our move? We file our own divorce petition," she said calmly. "List abandonment during medical crisis, financial misconduct, and attempted concealment of funds. We request full recovery of the missing money plus attorney fees." I looked at her. "Will that work?" Catherine didn't flinch. "I've never seen a cleaner case. But I doubt we'll need to take it to court. Once her side sees what we have, they'll fold. And if they don't, then we go to court," she said. "And she loses everything, including her reputation." For the first time in months, I felt something close to hope. Friday morning, Catherine sent our full response to Vanessa's lawyer. It wasn't just a rebuttal, it was a statement. Every receipt, every timestamp, every document, everything laid bare. By noon, her lawyer called Brian personally, said they were open to negotiating. The game had changed. By noon on Friday, Vanessa's lawyer requested an emergency meeting. Our divorce filing, complete with every damning detail, bank statements, text messages, witness statements, and medical documentation, had landed like a hammer. "That was fast," I said to Brian on the phone. "They weren't expecting you to have ammunition," he replied. "They thought you were too sick, too broke, or too beaten down to fight back." The meeting was scheduled for Monday. I spent the weekend resting, regaining what strength I could. On Sunday night, another message arrived, from yet another new number. "This is cruel, Logan. I made a mistake, but this is vindictive. My parents can't give the money back right now. You're trying to destroy me." I stared at the screen. Vindictive? I wasn't the one who walked out the day of a cancer diagnosis. I wasn't the one who drained our joint account. I wasn't the one hiding behind lawyers and parents. For the first time, I replied, "Actions have consequences." Monday morning, I walked into Catherine's office alongside Brian. They'd prepped me well. Sit still, say nothing unless asked, and let the evidence speak for itself. Vanessa arrived a few minutes later with her father and her lawyer, a thin man in expensive glasses who frowned like it was his resting state. Vanessa looked refreshed, tanned, rested, like the past few months had been a vacation, while I'd been fighting for my life. She didn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer began, "We've reviewed your client's filing. While we strongly disagree with the characterization of events, my client is willing to discuss a fair and peaceful settlement." Catherine smiled coolly. "Let's be clear. This is not a negotiation. It's a courtesy meeting before we proceed to court. Your client abandoned her husband during a medical crisis, emptied their joint savings, funneled funds through her parents, and then demanded additional assets. We have the evidence." Vanessa shifted in her seat. Her father leaned forward. "Surely we can find a reasonable." Catherine cut him off. "Your daughter transferred her husband's emergency medical funds directly to you. We have the check record. Will you be returning those funds today, or shall we add your name to the lawsuit as a recipient of fraudulently obtained marital assets?" The room went silent. Vanessa's lawyer cleared his throat. "What exactly are you demanding?" Catherine didn't flinch. "Our terms are simple. Full return of the $38,000. Vanessa relinquishes all claims to the house, the Mustang, the land, and the retirement accounts. She assumes full responsibility for all legal fees. In exchange, we will not pursue criminal charges for financial fraud or abandonment." Vanessa's father muttered, "This is robbery." "No," Catherine said softly. "Robbery is what your daughter did. This is justice." Her lawyer requested 48 hours to respond. As we exited the conference room, Vanessa tried to catch my eye. I walked past her without slowing down. In the elevator, Brian placed a hand on my shoulder. "You did good in there." I didn't say a word, I replied. Sometimes that's the hardest part. 2 days later, Catherine called. Vanessa had accepted all our terms. Her parents would return the $38,000 within 30 days. She would sign the papers and relinquish all rights to the house, the Mustang, and the land. She would pay all legal fees. It's over, Catherine said. You won. But it didn't feel like a win. It felt like closing a chapter one once believed would last forever. Still, that night, I slept through the night for the first time since my diagnosis. The settlement funds arrived exactly 30 days later. A cashier's check. Every cent accounted for. I deposited it that afternoon, then drove straight to my oncologist's office to pay down my bills. Julia, the nurse who'd been with me since my first treatment, was behind the front desk. You're looking better, she said. Your numbers came back strong last week. Feeling better too, I said, handing over the check. She glanced at the amount. Insurance come through? Something like that, I replied. The divorce was finalized 1 week later. I signed the final paperwork in Catherine's office. Felt, not empty, not angry, just done. As Brian and I walked out, he asked quietly, "What now?" "Finish treatment. Get better. Figure out what comes next." He nodded. "The land sale closes next month. That's another $65,000. If you sell the Mustang." "Not yet," I said. "I'm not ready to let go of everything." That evening, I sat on my back deck with a glass of water, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The nausea had eased. My hair was growing back, patchy but real. The doctors were using words like responding well and promising outlook. My phone buzzed. An email from Megan, Vanessa's cousin. "Logan, I heard everything's finalized. I'm so sorry for what my family did to you. Vanessa's parents are selling their Lake Coeur d'Alene cabin to repay the money. My aunt is furious, blaming you instead of Vanessa, but I want you to know, some of us saw what really happened. I hope you're doing better. You deserve that much." I read it twice. Then I put my phone away. I didn't need to reply. Didn't need to get pulled back into their chaos. That part of my life was over. It was time to focus on healing, on rebuilding, on whatever came next. 6 months later, I sat in my oncologist's office, hands clenched, heart quiet but unsure. She smiled gently, then spoke the words I'd clung to through every needle, scan, and sleepless night. Complete remission. I blinked. Let it land. Let it settle. It wasn't a guarantee, not with lymphoma. The ghost of it would always linger in the shadows. But for now, the cancer was gone. The battle was won. "What happens next?" I asked. She leaned forward, voice steady. "Regular checkups. Blood work. Scans every 6 months. But for now, Logan, go live your life." That evening, I made 2 phone calls. First, to Ellie. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. I could hear the tears in her voice. Relief. Joy. Hope. Then I called Joel, my old buddy from Missoula. He'd been offering me a job at his custom auto shop for years, ever since we rebuilt his dad's vintage Bronco together. "You still got space for me?" I asked. "Hell yes," he said without missing a beat. "When can you start?" A month later, I sold the house in Spokane. I didn't need the memories anymore. I used the proceeds to buy a small cabin just outside Missoula. 2 bedrooms, a wood stove, a garage big enough for my tools, and the Mustang. And mountains, tall, silent, and steady, visible from every window. The day I left Spokane for good, Tim and Lisa came to see me off. Lisa handed me a warm casserole wrapped in foil. Tim clapped me on the back, his usual quiet kindness shining through. "Take care of yourself, Logan," Lisa said softly. "You doing okay?" Tim asked. "Really okay?" I thought about it. About everything I'd lost. Everything I'd clawed back. Getting there, I said. 3 months into my new life, I was settling in. Working long days at Joel's shop, coming home with grease on my hands and quiet in my heart. The nights were still, peaceful. My body still healing, my mind slowly catching up. One evening, I got a text from an unfamiliar number. "Vanessa, I heard you're in remission. I'm glad. I know you won't believe this, but I think about you often. I made a terrible mistake. I was scared and selfish. I'm sorry, Logan, for everything." I read it twice. Her words felt distant, like a storm that had already passed. In the end, I replied with just 4 words. "I survived. Be well." Then I blocked the number, put the phone away, and went back to the garage. The Mustang sat there, half covered with a tarp and a layer of dust. I hadn't touched it since I moved. Not to sell it anymore. To restore it, for me. It had weathered its own storms. Been neglected, forgotten, misunderstood. But it still had good bones. Still had fire under the hood. Still deserved another chance. Some things, once broken, can't be put back the way they were. But some, like engines and hearts, can be rebuilt. Not the same as before. Stronger. I was one of them.